I wanted to talk to you all about targeted individuals. I hope that you find this comforting to you. I understand what you're going through. I know how hard it is to be targeted. I have gone through some of the worst targeting of my life since 2021, although I have been targeted my entire life, like many of us have. But when they move you into a blacklist category where you are put into certain programs, then the targeting gets more intense and you are put under military weapons, radiation weapons, DEW weapons, and you may have a V2K device hooked up to your ear. So the targeting gets way more intense. They go after your monies, your children, anything that makes you happy. They have monitors on you that they have been working on, biological hacking. And, you know, the warfare against us continues. But I want to empower you and I want to educate you and I want to let you know how it works. If you guys are new here, I do offer soul coaching for targeted individuals, people who have been through this, that need guidance. I do a session that I record to protect you and myself, where I channel messages from your spirit guides, giving you guidance on what's going on with your targeting. I had somebody come in recently who was targeted, and it was a really beautiful reading and message, and one that I even needed to hear myself. Very powerful. So, you know, our spirit guides work together to help us and protect us, because the more you understand the programs and how we're targeted, then you will become empowered and emboldened to be able to change your life and defeat this enemy, because they're not very strong. They're not very powerful at all. In fact, they have a lot of numbers, but they're weak internally. They're weak inside.
Right.
And that's what I have come to know of this enemy. They are not strong inside. Strong people do not take jobs like this. Strong people do not take this work. They don't get into situations like that. You are stronger than they are. And that's most likely why they targeted you in the first place. They only target people who are quote unquote chosen ones, people who are spiritually strong in faith, have high vibrations, can alchemize energies, can really bounce back from any situation, and people who are a threat. They're usually people who are intelligent, that know things. The more you know, the more targeted you become, because they don't want you to know the truth. And that goes into the government, politics, etc. And that's why I was targeted so bad. My channel was political. And I was talking about the 2016 election. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that. I was targeted right away. I didn't know at the time that I was being targeted by CIA, by Russians. I didn't know who they were, but it would be many years later that I was able to put it together. Many years. And that's by design. You're not supposed to know who's targeting you, and you're not supposed to know the programs. You're not supposed to know the ins and outs of everything. But when you are spiritually ascended, you're an ascended master, you can navigate the spiritual planes. And your spirit guides will help you. They'll help you to figure it out, to protect yourselves, because you have that divine right. It's divine laws. It's divine laws of protection. So I just want to let you all know that most of the targeting occurs in the state of Florida. And a lot of people don't know that, okay? And in coordination with the state of Florida is the state of Texas, okay? But the state of Texas is more of the intel groups, okay? The FBI. And then the state of Texas they have contacts in Manhattan. So that's kind of like the loop circle of the targeted individual programs. So it's mainly Florida. Florida is, I think, where it comes in initially. So I think it comes in through a military type program. It comes in through Delta Force. Although since I've outed that, I think they have covered that up. Okay, so once it gets outed, they move the programs so that you can't find the programs. And that's who they are. It is Deep State KKK.
Wow.
Okay, it's Deep State KKK. It's Nazi, and that's the alignment of what it is. And if you don't fall in line with who they are, which is batshit fucking crazy, satanic agendas connected to the Church of Latter-day Saints and the Church of Scientology, which engage in human sacrifice.
Wow.
Baby rituals, baby sacrifice.
Wow.
If you don't align to who they are, which are bottom feeders, they're bottom feeders, they go after you, okay? And they try to turn you into them. A big pull in for this group is sex work, sex agents. That's really a big tie-in. The sex workers and the sex agents are like a huge component to this deep state network. And one, they try to lure people in power in through the sex agents, through the sex workers, through sex parties, because they want to get into their energies. They want to take from them. And that's a main way of siphoning one's energy.
Wow.
And two, the sex workers, they are the ones that manipulate and work a lot of the deals. You know, they're a really big component, the sex workers. And of course, as part of luring in these people to do the sex work, they usually try to get them addicted to drugs. So cocaine is like a really big part of this network.
Of course.
Because it's an addictive drug. They want them hooked on addictive drugs because that's how they can keep them in the circle to carry out their dirty work. And so the sex work is designed to frame people, set people up. They love going after people with pedophile crimes. They have children on hand. They always have access to children through Christian networks, through made-up churches, fake Christian churches. They have Christian hospitals. They have Mormon networks, and it's huge, okay? So they have a lot of different groups. And then on top of that, they have military involved.
Military.
And so the military comes in through Navy SEALs. It comes in through Air Force. I was getting a lot of ties to private jets and Air Force that were a part of this with organ donating. Okay, the organs is part of the sacrificing programs, and then it ties into weapons. So all of our weapons are made by human sacrifice. So that's the deep state military agenda. So that's when they say war is good for the economy. Those are the guys. It's the Republicans.
Don't forget the Democrats.
And it's satanic agendas to kill people. So there's various degrees of targeted individuals. Many of us could have been targeted since we were born, depending on who you were around, who your parents were.
Well,
but like I said, the more you rise, the targeting revs up and you get put on blacklists and you start getting passed around through crime databases, okay?
Whoa.
So
Passed around.
Once you go in on a crime database, you're going to be moved through crime families. And that's when it gets deadly, okay? Because there's a hit on your name at that point in time. So my
a hit on my name
right now because they didn't know I knew all of this, but I've been through everything. I've literally been through everything. And I don't know how I survived other than through my faith in the divine.
Facts.
And there are foreign enemies that don't know how I survived. And they, to this day, are trying to figure out how I survived.
Right.
Because they want what I had. They want my divine protections. And they've stolen my divine protections. And I'm still here. They biologically engineered my DNA through dark Manhattan labs and Dubai labs. They're in my DNA. I can feel them and hear them in my body.
You better believe it.
And I'm still here. And every day when I'm clearing energies and doing my soul work, which is what I'm here to do,
right.
My healing work, my shamanic work.
Banish.
Many of them die. Many of them have their last breath. And I can see that through the spiritual portals, I guess, or energies.
Kill them
bastards. A lot of them pass on.
Kill them bastards.
So don't ever be fooled by who they are and what they're doing, because everything in the dark is a lie. You just have to find it. And many of them do engage in sacrifice rituals, death rituals. They chain you to graves. They work with a lot of mambos out of Louisiana. That is their go-to. They work with a lot of witches out of New Orleans and Africa. So that's why there's a lot of connection to Africa. Africa, they use death cults in Africa. So that's why there's a lot of that presence in Africa. Eric Prince did a lot of work in Africa. Elon, South Africa. It's the death cults.
The death cult.
It's the hoodoo, the voodoo.
The hoodoo voodoo, oh Lord.
It's the ancient voodoo, the Egyptian voodoo. That's why they do so much work there.
Yeah.
And obviously the minerals, okay?
You better protect yourself out there, man.
And
There's
the weapons contractors.
A lot of shit going on.
Get paid through African gold. So that's how our weapons guys get paid. And it's all illegal crime operations connected to deep state. In terms of your targeting, the contracts come in very clean cut and buttoned up, okay? They hide the contracts. They hide the contracts under merchant marines, okay? And they come in through corporations. So you actually have a corporation that's killing you off, okay?
Right.
But the contract is actually coming in through Manhattan.
America is a corporation. And your name is a corporation.
Manhattan is coming in through a hedge funder, a private investment firm, and it's going to be actually mafia or crime. So everybody has an agent attached to them that's on these lists. So you have essentially your own kill agent or marksman, okay?
Remember I think Tupac and Michael Jackson, they both said America eats their own babies. They said that, man, a long time ago. They give birth to you, and then they turn around and consume you. Everybody in America is going to get consumed, even the gang stalkers, whether they know it or not. I don't know what the hell they know, but they got to know, but they still going to do it. They still going to participate. But they know that they're not going to get out of this alive neither. You know what I mean? So
you might, or marksman, okay? You're not going to necessarily know them. You might feel them. You might get to know them. If you're hooked up to a V2K system, you might get to know your marksman too well, almost too well. They might try to lure you in through sex. They might try to lure you in trying to date you. Britney Spears, her ex-husband, was a marksman, and he was coming in, I believe, through Saudi Arabia. That's the intel I was getting. It's either through Saudi Arabia or Dubai. So she was a job. She's been trafficked her whole life, probably. I'm trafficked by the same group as her out of Florida. So foreign monies come in and they put hits on people as well. They cover it up to protect Americans who are doing the hits. And so it could be coming in where they launder the money to Dubai, and then Dubai comes in with the money to make it look like it's a foreign enemy. And then they'll do a whole operation in the military acting like it's out of their control, like you did something wrong. but it's an inside job. It's all an inside job. The money gets laundered through the weapons contractors and things like that. So it'll come in through a weapons deal and go to Dubai, then the money will come in through Dubai, and it'll look like Dubai has all this money. It's literally like money laundering, and that's what Donald Trump was known for on the back end, okay? He's a professional money launderer, crime boss with a lot of cover-up teams, a lot of media teams connected to Mark Burnett. Mark Burnett was British ops. A lot of people don't know that.
British ops.
He's black ops. He was black ops.
Black ops.
That's why he did Survivor and pretty much killed people on his shows. This is the same network. And so then, depending on how targeted you are, you might have multiple attackers, multiple agents, and people working on you. And then it gets really interesting because feds get involved, hardcore. There's all like programs through FBI to try and cover up the crimes. So they have front teams within the feds.
Trying to cover it up, y'all.
And what happened to me, I've like literally created like a complete intel shit show. Like they have moved me around so much because I have like, because of the targeting and how bad it's been. It's insane. It's literally like, I always say like whoever my boss is high as fuck. Like he's high as fuck. Because he's maneuvering all of this, which is a fucking shit show. I get rotated every like, pretty much like every 3 hours. I get rotated between groups. And, you know, you're in the underbelly of the world, essentially, if you're under this form of warfare.
Woo! You heard
so
it.
You're not getting out. You're not getting out.
Whoa, you hear that?
I don't know how you do get out, honestly.
We mean you don't know
I
how?
have been told to be a stripper.
Death.
I have been told to marry into a crime family and be a second wife because I could not be a front wife. They said I wasn't good enough to be the front wife and I don't fit the mold because I refuse to dye my hair and things like that. So I can't like be like the Housewives of New Jersey, you know what I mean? Like I would have to get my boobs done and like I'm not doing that.
Get your boobies done.
And so this is the stuff I've gone through. And they tell me this through the V2K device too. They've told me this. They'll show me it. They'll point to signs because I have so much tech on me. They'll show me like if I pass like a plastic surgeon, they'll like be like, go pull over. Yeah, like no joke. They have told me I have to get my you know what done. I've been told to pull over at strip clubs multiple times in different states to go talk to the manager.
Wow.
To strip that night.
Yeah. They always gonna use the females to do that. If you're a female TI, they 9 times out of 10 they're gonna try to get you to sell that cuckoo.
And intel that Kendra from the Playboy Mansion, Girls Next Door, was tied into this network as well. She would be quote unquote trafficked. And that is what happened to her marriage. They went after her marriage. And lo and behold, I was next to her at the airport. Actually, I sat next to Kendra. She met my dog in Minnesota. And so we're part of the same trafficking network.
The land of the free, y'all.
So I didn't know I was being trafficked at that point in time.
The land of the free, this is going on.
You know, it all makes sense.
In the land of the free, this is going on,
and
y'all.
this is how they stay in power.
This is how they stay in power?
In terms of my targeting, though, that didn't happen until 2021, where it was like really being targeted. I was targeted my whole life, but I'm talking like people coming into my ear and going, Amy, you know too much, and you're gonna die today. Like that's literally it. And then they would hit a button. So it was like going into like full-blown warfare. and surviving. Regardless, you can read about my story in the description box. It's extremely detailed and it's extremely messy, like most of our stories are. A lot of people don't believe you that haven't gone through it, and that's all by design. And they're all infiltrated as well and monitored.
They're all infiltrated.
Because they want you to be isolated, and that is its own form of warfare.
Facts.
Is isolation, starvation, drug abuse, drug addiction.
Oh, Lord.
Sex work.
Oh, Lord. Lord have mercy.
They make you believe the only way you can make money is through sex work. They block out any other option.
Can't get a job.
And now they have devices on the back end where they can traffic you through the technologies.
Can't buy or
and
sell.
Have like a simulation sex experience with whoever they have available.
Simulation sex.
Whoever's paying the price. So they mastered that. So you don't even have to go into a hotel room anymore. Although they use that for their porn sites because they just illegally video you. So, you know, that's who they are. In terms of the assignments to you, you're essentially like a hedge fund, okay? And you're usually managed by a bank controller.
Land of the free.
Depending on how you're coming in, like, financially on the back end. We are worth a certain amount of money, dead or alive. Like we have ransom on our heads.
Whoa.
Every day it changes.
Money.
Some days they'll have money to save you, and other days they have money to kill you.
They got money on your head.
You change in rank, in like how high up on the hit list you are.
I know the fella rallies want to see me dead. Niggas put prices on my head. Now I got two Rottweilers by my bed. I wonder why Tupac said that. The fella rallies want to see me dead. Niggas put prices on my head. Why was Tupac saying that? Was Tupac going through the same thing? Holla if you hear me. Nobody heard him. Nobody heard him. Holla if you hear me. Nobody heard him.
And a lot of the FBI directors that came in under Trump were the ones who put us into the crime databases. They managed the crime databases. The FBI had all of the crime databases. So Trump infiltrated those databases. And a lot of people will come in that are targeted and go, it goes both left and right. It does not. I know too much to say that. I know too much on the back end to ever say it goes both left and right. So I will never say that. It's not true. It's a blatant lie that was paid and sent out through QAnon.
A blatant lie.
It's just right. And the right is terrorism. And they were brought in as terrorists. George W. and his father were brought into the U.S. to infiltrate this country. They were brought in. They were plants.
The land of free.
And they were moved in through possibly churches. However they would infiltrate the churches, they were moved in.
The churches?
But they were not. They were brought in to infiltrate our country.
That's right.
And to make it look the opposite. I have gotten very strong ties to George W. being born in Yugoslavia. And we have deep state CIA that can pretty much put a whole new identity on somebody. They sold him as a Texas cowboy.
You see why everybody's doing it?
When his reputation got really bad, they sold him as a painter.
You see why everybody doing it? Because this is big. Them people, them gang stalkers next door that's banging on your walls, they scared to death.
Mind-loving painter.
What's up, Dystopia? What's going on, everybody in the chat? Everybody hit the like button.
He sold him as an all-American cowboy. All imaging. And they have lots of professionals that do all of that. Okay? It's the same group as like the Hiltons, how they made it look like she was like coming up against Provo. That was all staged. I got a lot of intel on all of that. They're part of the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. It's deep state money. It is human sacrifice. It is baby rituals. It is dark, the Church of Latter-day Saints. They were ordered to pay back every year of taxes that they were established.
They got us all on the stock market dystopia.
The Mormons are, polygamists. It goes outside of commitment. It's adultery. It's straight up.
We just need to crash Wall Street.
Right, that they sold as part of this church. Brigham Young is not a lie. It's not a lie. I mean, it is pedophilia. It is, the Huffs were trafficked when they were little children. They were trafficked. You only got a tiny bit of that story. And Julianne came under a lot of, obviously, she came under scrutiny with that. I believe she had backlash. I don't even know if that's the full story. I don't know if that's really the story. I've gotten other intel on the Huffs, including all of the other dancers with Dancing with the Stars, which are Russian.
They got us on the stock.
And that ties into Vladimir Putin.
They got us on the stock market.
The other
you better believe
stuff in Manhattan. Okay?
So the land of the free.
Sexual, if you've noticed, as children. And they're groomed to do that. And people buy them. So anyways, I'm going into stuff that a lot of people don't know, but it's here to empower you and for you to understand that you're a contract most likely coming out of Manhattan, but the programs stem from Florida. The targeting comes in through Florida. And then the individual programs were originally in Colorado. And I think they're still there at Schriever Air Force Base. But they will have it so it's managed outside of the country to make it look copacetic. Okay. So it'll look like Dubai, United Emirates is doing the targeted individual programs. But that was a Jared Kushner deal in 2024. And I talked about it on my channel. And Jared Kushner had his own private equity firm. So anyways, I will leave you guys there. If you guys are interested in any type of coaching work or messages around your targeting, I do that work. I have a link in the description box below. Definitely be sure to check that out. I also was guided to plant
Targeted
trees
warrior
by a Native American spirit that I connected with recently. So I am going to be planting.
This is Truth Warrior, y'all. Y'all want to,
a sacred oak on land. I'm really excited about this. I know my ancestors are this. So you can see all that. The donation is $125. That goes for the tree itself, which is not cheap, the shipping, and the care for the tree, which is not a whole lot. But I love trees, so I don't care.
I love trees too. Mary Jane, hey, I'm in love with Mary Jane. Hey man, y'all heard it from Truth Warrior. The America's is like a Titanic is sinking. They done sold everybody out, even the gang stalkers. I don't know why the hell they on their side when they gonna get slaughtered too. But hey, a bot and a dummy will be a bot and a dummy, and you just gotta let them just be who they are. You know what I mean? But the scripture, Romans 8:28, for all things work together for good to those that love God. For all things work together for good to those that love God. So if God saw us to have to go through what we gotta go through, it is what it is. Even Jesus said, Father, allow this cup to pass over me. Jesus didn't want to be crucified. He didn't want to be crucified by these damn bots either. He ran in the wilderness, tried to get away from these gang stalkers. You can't get away. They're everywhere. It's like a plague. It's like a virus that you cannot escape from. There's nowhere to run to, baby. There's nowhere to hide. No matter where you go, there you are. The technology is too sophisticated. It's too much nanotech in everybody. Holla back, y'all. We're going to go live again later on. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Share, like, hit the Cash App, hit a super chat. We out this joint. GangStalking Simulation, player.